Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. You're going to have quite a session today because what I'm doing here is a fireside chat with two people that I know very, very well. Is not going to be the typical wo jo aake chalo thoda sa brand speak karenge, thoda sa plug karenge. This is going to be me playing devil's advocate, and this is to do with your favorite product of all times, and that is smartphones. The market for smartphones in India has always been about budget and economy, 10,000, 7,000, people moving from a feature phone to a smartphone. But suddenly, dramatic changes came about in this market. The premiumization of the Indian smartphone market. There are unsold stocks at its highest ever of under 10,000 rupee phones from multiple brands. It's never happened before. We've had people now switching and going up the ladder in terms of the kind of phones they're buying, for what feature they're buying it, the kind of price points. What is leading to that? Why are people buying more expensive phones, more premium phones? Is this finally the time when we will no longer be called budget kings, economy kings? The Indian market is mainly only for under 10,000. What has led to this reason? And in an overall slowing market, will we again pick up because from 4G to 5G? What are the features that people are looking for when they're actually buying a phone? Is it because of EMI, no cost EMI? Is it because the per capita has become much better in India? Why are you people buying phones that are more premium, more expensive? We're going to find out especially the future of smartphones in India, because once we've reached this, the Indian smartphone market may completely and dramatically change with more better products coming out because there is a market for them. So very exciting times, but we're going to discover why. But I'd like to keep this very, very interactive. We've got two great panelists out here, and let's use this opportunity at any point. So one is that typical conventional way of doing it कि हम लोग 40-50 मिनट के लिए बात करेंगे, फिर 10 मिनट के लिए okay, any questions? Let's not do that. The minute anything is spoken on stage where you have an opinion, a question, you don't agree, just raise your hand. We'll get the mics to you and let's have a chat. So it's just not the three of us on stage. It's all 100, 200 of us on stage at the same time. Let's make this as interactive as possible. Okay, so let's get started off with my first introduction to the two panelists. So Nipun and I know each other for years. We've done a great amount of work together. We have some very interesting discussions, mostly debates, and that's what we're going to do here today. Like I said, I'm going to play devil's advocate. For everything that is a question in their mind, I'm going to be coming to you and talking about it. Prabhu and I got to know each other very well recently on a trip abroad where we spent some time together, where he was very sweet enough to have a chauffeur-driven car that had come for him, and he dropped me off at the MWC, so it was very nice of him to do that. So now that I've established a relationship out here, let's get deep into the question-answer session. This is a fireside chat, so we're going to go deep. But my request to both the panelists is we'll talk stories, anecdotes, examples, not theory, because everybody else does theory. So I'm going to throw it out straight to you, Nipun. Question number one. India, economy kings, 10,000 rupees, 7,000 rupees. What's the magic number? The greatest amount of excitement we've ever had for a smartphone is Freedom 299. So, how many people remember Freedom 299? Let's get the interactivity started. So, those that have not raised their hands, Dhruv, do you not know what Freedom 299 is? Are you serious? I mean, that's the reason you couldn't buy that phone. So there was an announcement that was made of a phone, a smartphone available for 299 rupees. All the people behind that are now behind bars. Sab jail mein. So that's not going to happen in the Indian market for too quickly, and maybe not required also. I'm going to start straight away. So budget economy kings in the smartphone market. That's what the Indian market is always called. Suddenly we are talking about the premiumization of it. Factors that has made it happen.
Okay. So firstly, a very good afternoon to everybody here. So, when we talk about premiumization of the Indian market, I think its time was due, Rajiv. And, when I met consumers and when I speak to so many young people out there, they know so much about their phones today. They are people who are not the buyers as were, say, 5 years back or 3 years back. These are buyers who know their phones very, very well. And as they know their phones, they also want to upgrade to better technology they want to upgrade to better experience. They also want to upgrade to use cases which are relevant for them. So therefore, with with an upgrade happening, and we can talk more about the reasons for upgrade henceforth. But because the upgrade is happening, therefore I see the premiumization also happening. There is replacement buying which is happening. I am not new to smartphone. Smartphone is not alien to me, and because of this, I certainly see that premiumization, the time was there to happen, and it has happened now.
Okay, great. So a good introduction to the entire thing. Prabhu, I want to know from you your thoughts. What is the reason why India is willing to spend more on smartphones suddenly?
Thank you, Rajiv, for having me, and thank you, Convergence India, for this platform. Truly appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an analyst. So my job is to look at numbers, look at trends, and make sense of it. And when Rajiv is asking me this question, I'd like to take you back to 2 years ago.
Okay.
I won't refer to that phase. I always call it as the dark years. So you remember how it was, right? So at that point of time, there was this spike which we saw, and we thought it was, in the premium segment. There was a small spike which occurred for the first time. We assumed that it was revenge buying by the affluent. People who have the money are spending it because they have been at home for so long. You spend close to 12 months and plus at home, just looking at your wife and children and all, and suddenly you had the urge to buy a new smartphone, shiny new device, and you went online and bought it. That was the assumption. We called it revenge buying, and that was a trend which was there in India. That was a trend which was also evident in some other markets. What's interesting is, in that particular year, this is 2021, the premium segment grew around 80% plus as such, year on year. Huge as such, We thought like, okay, that's done now. But last year, again, it was double digits, 22% and so on. So what really changed, What has happened, it's not about the affluent buying premium smartphones just for the heck of it. While some of it might be true, we want to be seen with the latest and the best. What's also interesting is that consumers now realize that smartphones are truly what connects them to the world. It's in my term, I call it the central nervous system, without which we cannot function at all. Take anything around you. If you want to get the news, you need the phone. If you want to get your health, you need the phone. Everything around you, it's connected to your mobile. And that's where consumers over the last 2+ years have been spending more on devices which are more durable, more value, or premium in the true sense of the word. And it's also, as the world opened up, and as Rajiv was mentioning, he was taking me around all of these wonderful places. What we have seen is, we want to be seen with the latest and the best. It's the lifestyle statement for us, right? So it's important that the smartphone speaks about who you are, and that's in a sense what's driving the premium segment as such. But again, just for the theory part of it, it's premium is not one homogeneous block. For us at CyberMedia Research, we categorize it across the board. It starts from around 25,000 rupees and onwards. It goes up to 1 lakh and above. There are the foldables. There are those premium devices in the 50 plus range and so on, all of which have seen tremendous growth in the last 2 years, And I'm not a fan of binary debates. This is good, which means that's bad. That's not the case. I'm here, when you talk about premiumization, that's a trend. Let me just conclude on this one point. What all of this indicates is that the consumer in India is transforming. We always looked at the Indian consumer. I am guilty of it as well. Analysts, media, all of us, we always used to talk about consumers as value-conscious buyers, those from India. That's transforming, and it's a huge seminal moment for India, which means we are no longer, value-conscious buyers only. That value part is still there, but we are not shying away from buying the best of the lot.
All right. So interesting that both the people on stage have kind of put context to what we have. Now, Nipun, before I come to you, let's read the room right now, okay? Let's find out where this room is in terms of premium phones. So let's now divide things up. I'm going to just throw out some numbers as he tried to define the premium market in India. So anybody that has a phone, all of you that have a phone under 10,000 rupees. Okay, so I'd say about 4, 5, 6, 7 people, which I think is an interesting number for the fact that we are in a place like Delhi. Okay, anybody from 10 to 25,000 rupees, if your phone is priced at about that. Okay, so according to you, this is still not a premium customer. Sorry, you're still not premium. You're still in the budget and affordable segment. 25,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees. Okay, so we have almost equivalent. Okay, and 50,000 rupees and more. Yeah, so for the fact that we are in a urban city, that is an obvious number, right? And how many people take their phones to the bathroom with them? And everybody whose hand is not up is a liar, because the Indian market has 97% people who say that they take their phones to their bathroom. So you're never ever really able to go without taking the phone with you, right? I just wanted to let you know, because he said that our phone is for everything news, but it's not really only news. It helps us also with bodily functions. Okay, Nipun, let's get down to finding out from you. When you as iQOO, and you've done a great job, you've had some incredible success, especially lately. When did you read the market that it's changing? And what do you think is the real reasons? I mean, we were talking off stage right now, we were talking about various other factors that have led to the Indian market moving upwards. So what is it? Is it the no cost EMI? Is it a feature set that people really want? Is it the 4G to 5G move? What is triggering it? Per capita income, middle class moving higher. What is the real reason? Is it a combination? Is there one big catalyst?
Okay, so as a follow-up to the question, Rajiv, you asked, I think we can even ask how many people plan to buy a phone above 25k the next time.
Those that don't have a phone above 25,000 rupees, but your next phone you plan to buy will be 25,000 rupees or more. So my hand is up. I finally plan to upgrade to a phone about 25,000 for sure this year. Okay, so yeah, so most people, yes. I would say again that's the plan, right?
Right.
For a lot of people, it's like, nahi, wo to downgrade ho jayega mere liye, right? So
yes. So see, we started iQOO around 3 years back. That's when we thought of how we should approach the India market. And as I shared with you earlier, we saw this trend that there are people who want the best of features at the right price, not necessarily at a low price. And that right price, right quality equation is, as Prabhu also mentioned, is value consciousness even in our mind. We don't mind spending 30k, 35k, but we want the right value at 30k or 35k. Therefore, for us also, it was important that 30, 35k, 40k, whatever price we launch the phone at, it should deliver the right value. So more than, is it budget or not, it is about the right value at a particular price. Secondly, what is fueling this growth? I think it's a combination of many factors. And one of which most important factor is the rise of affordability. And it is coming, and I can give you some numbers. Generally, we did one survey and we found out that above 40-50k price point, above 40k price point, there are more than 50% people who buy their phone on EMI. So, and the number is even higher depending on the months we do the survey. So while the industry average will be around 20%, but the moment you go in the higher price segments, this number just keeps rising. So a couple of years back, very difficult for me to think or get a phone worth say 50,000 rupees on EMI, but that's not the case anymore. And because of which, what you see is that in the last 2 years, in the online market, the ASP has grown by 30%. In the offline market, the ASP has grown by 15%. So both in online and offline, we are seeing this trend of growth of ASP, which is average selling price, from 15% to 30%. I'll give you one more data point. So in the Indian smartphone industry, the overall industry has not grown, or some people say degrowth as well. But the 15K plus market has grown by 19%, and the 40K plus market has grown by 80%. So the 40K plus market has grown by 80% in just 1 year, which clearly shows that there are many factors which are contributing
but on a
to
pretty
this
low
growth.
base, right?
Yes, of course.
On a low
the,
base.
The base is low, but still 40K is not a low price point, right? So at 40K plus, we are talking about significant growth, and as Prabhu also mentioned, I don't see this growth slowing down in the near future. For slightly longer future, there are some challenges which we can discuss, but this is how I see it, that because of affordability amongst many other things, higher disposable income. We have also seen that in disposable income versus what we used to spend 5 years back, the proportion of discretionary spending has also increased from 20 odd percent to 26% now. So all of this is contributing to more premium.
So let's just find out from maybe one or two people who actually did have a phone above 40,000 rupees. What is their trajectory, right? Because you just mentioned some interesting things. So those people who said they have a phone above 40 or 50,000 rupees, can I just see your hands up again, please? Okay, so the gentleman there, could you just get up? Yeah, there. Just take the mic. So can you tell me which phone you own right now?
iPhone 13 Pro.
And which phone did you own before this?
iPhone 12.
Okay, you're not the right target for this question
Okay.
at all, because I
Yes.
think we'll go right down to iPhone 1
Yes.
eventually when you were 2 years old, right? Okay, I will go with you. Yeah. Okay, what phone do you own right now?
So it is 13 Max Pro right now.
Okay, and what phone did you have prior to this?
So it was OnePlus 6T.
Okay, and that's a big jump in terms of price point that you actually were willing to spend. So which of the points that Nipun said made it happen? Was it an EMI? Was it that you suddenly are doing better in life, which is means you're part of the per capita income that increased, or are you spending more now? Your discretionary spend has become more. Which is the factor that made you buy a much more expensive phone?
So I'll go with second one because I am doing much better, because when I was just pass out from college, then
How
I
much
bought
tax did you pay this? Achha, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, so you were earlier in college and now you're working.
Yeah,
So
I was
first
just
it was your dad paying for the phone, now it's you.
No, so like when I bought OnePlus 60, it was just my first job. So I was earning
Oh,
very low.
first job. Okay.
Yeah. So
All
it
right.
was earning was low. So I'm doing far better. It has been 4 years. Recently I bought that phone. So
Okay, so good. So you're doing better, so you're willing to spend more. So your income as well as the amount that you're willing to spend is way more, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, great. So two of your points actually get tick marked out there, right? Thank you so much. Prabhu, I'm going to come to you. The interesting thing is that you actually defined the market at 25,000 rupees. But isn't it also a dangerous sign? And Nipun also spoke about challenges for maybe now we'll do better, but challenges for the future. But before we go to challenges for the future, I want to talk about now. So great that the above 15,000 market increased, great that the 40,000 plus market increased, but the overall market sales decreased.
Yeah.
So in a negative growth market, certain segments increasing, is that good or is that very dangerous?
So again, there are
Why is India supposedly the most happening, the most dynamic, the most aggressive market in the world? Why are we seeing negativity here?
So let me just start from where that gentleman left off. I previously said we are the value conscious buyers. We are always defined as generalized as bargain hunters in a way. What's he defining here is the aspirational Indian. And this is a class which is not just confined to tier 1 cities. It's there in tier 2, tier 3 and beyond. And those are the consumers who are really fueling this boom. And this is not just premium. It's also a similar trend is seen in 5G devices sales this year, last year and right now as well. So while if you were to look at the overall the story, it definitely looks like a gloom. That's also because of what happened in the last 3 years, what I spoke about in terms of the dark period and all of that. There are those challenges in terms of supply chain, which is affecting it. There is overall macroeconomic condition also coming into play. But the silver lining again is the 5G, which is growing in double digits. The premium segment growing in double digits. This is what will fuel the market over the short-term period in the next 2 to 3 years as such. I don't believe that status quo is something which will remain forever. It all takes one smartphone player or mobile player to come up with a value proposition which is able to bridge that affordability gap and bring out value propositions in the what we call as the entry level segment. So right now that's not happening, but that will happen more or less sooner.
Taking from that quickly, I have a question. When brands that were known to play in the 7, 8, 10,000 market, Techno, Xiaomi, these guys are famous for it. They have aspirations to sell phones for 70, 80,000. Is this just them wanting to go up the value chain to become aspirational, and the ripple effect will still be in their bread and butter, or is there everybody just wants to be a premium brand?
So I'm not going to talk about any particular brand. We both of us were there last month, and we saw one device in particular, which was a foldable, which was very exciting. It was solid in itself. Again, not taking names, but what it denotes is, that entire technological strength which that OEM has. That prowess which is there, which is able to showcase in those high premium tiers as well. And while that that innovation is there, they have proven that. Now for them, it's about taking it to the next stage in terms of their messaging and go to market in itself. What's happening is in the short term, it would definitely have a halo effect over the rest of the portfolio, which means their major bread and butter, as you said, that would definitely have a positive impact. Over a period of time, if they play their card well, because of their innovation being so strong, they would be able to see some positive ripple effects there as well in those higher price tiers.
Okay, all right. Nipun, now I want to understand again the same thing about the overall market in India has gone down, right? The part that I am very intrigued by is that wasn't this supposed to be actually the time when things were supposed to fly? Better products than ever before, at better prices than ever before, 4G to 5G, all of these coming in almost at the same time. Wasn't this the golden honeymoon period where we were supposed to have more sales rather than less?
So, if we look at it from slightly outside, then yes, the factors that you mentioned certainly contribute to that theory. However, if you look at some of the other aspects, and I'll just highlight some of them. First being 2022 was the year in which the feature phone to smartphone migration has been the lowest which has ever happened in our industry.
And
ever.
what is the reason for that? Because weren't we always supposed to be that Indian market smartphone potential highest in the world, because such a huge number population still to move from feature phone to smartphone? So why are they not moving anymore?
I will say three key reasons. The first one is, and most importantly, and I'll give you an example. There is a Didi at my home. She has a feature phone. Being in the smartphone business, I have tried convincing her to buy a smartphone. And she said, yes, maybe for once I can still plan and afford to buy a smartphone. But what if the smartphone falls, right? I have job which is not an office job, right? So what if, my phone breaks? Then again, there is a heavy repair cost. So in a feature phone, that is not the case. Feature phone is much, much, much more durable than a smartphone is. So it is not just about the first time of ownership. It is also the recurring cost which is there in case of a smartphone. So this is reason number one in my mind, which is affordability and relevant use case. For a lot of people, there is still no relevant use case to spend that 3,500 extra which they have to spend for a smartphone, which a feature phone can pretty much do the job for them. So for me, this is the most important reason that feature phone to smartphone upgrade has not happened, because one relevant use case, and still there is a substantial gap between feature phone to smartphone price point, entry level price point. And as Prabhu also mentioned, till we really have an innovation on the supply side or from a brand side which can fill this gap, and other brands have tried, but so far unsuccessfully.
Anybody out here, किसी के पास यहाँ पे feature phone है? No one here has a feature phone at all, or doesn't want to accept that they have a feature phone. No one has a feature phone. Okay, all right. Then that question is irrelevant. I will move on, right? Okay, so you've spoken about the feature phone to smartphone part of it, but you were also answering why are we not growing when this is supposed to be the golden honeymoon period?
Yeah, so one reason was, and which was fueling the growth earlier, was feature phone to smartphone. The other thing is also, if people are spending more and getting a good smartphone, they will also like to retain their phone for longer. So what we're also seeing is longer upgrade cycles.
So India was supposed to be 16 to 20 months, then it
Absolutely.
became 18 to 20.
Yes.
Now we're at about
More
36.
than 2 years. No, more than 2 years, I still feel.
Okay, it's called more than 2 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And especially as you buy a higher priced phone, you tend to use it for longer.
For longer.
So therefore, as the premiumization of the market is happening, we are seeing people are not changing their phone as frequently as they were doing earlier.
Okay, so again, let's find out from the audience. The gentleman in the red and black check shirt, which phone do you have? Can we get a mic to him? Anybody with mics who's free and not chatting with others? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so what phone do you have?
So at the moment, it's a OnePlus 70.
Sorry?
OnePlus 70.
Okay. And so OnePlus 7T. So
Yeah.
you've actually had it, if my calculation is right, minimum 3 to 4 years. Unless you bought it second hand.
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And when do you plan to upgrade?
In about 2-3 months.
2-3 months.
Yeah.
So it's almost bang on. And before this, have you owned a smartphone?
Yes.
Which one was that?
iPhone 6.
We went from an iPhone 6 to a OnePlus. Okay. Neet will be very happy, right, to hear that. Okay. And how long did you have that phone?
About 5 years.
Okay. So his cycle is coming down though, right? But
Because he's already was on an expensive phone.
yeah, so he was already on an expensive phone. Now he's gone for a phone that is not as expensive as that one. Right, okay. Thank you so much. Can I just ask the lady here also in a check shirt? You're not both related, no? No? Okay. Didn't go shopping together either? No. Okay. So which phone do you have?
I have Samsung Galaxy A21s.
Okay. So again, if I calculate right, you've had it for a short while then. Not too long. How many years?
No, it's 4 years.
Oh, you've had it for 4 years now? Okay.
Yes.
And any plans to upgrade?
In a couple of months.
Oh, again, a couple of months. So I think you have a lot of potential that is about to explode. So the 5G thing, what will be the reason for you to upgrade?
So my phone space is filled up a lot.
Phones become very slow.
Yes.
You can't play the right games on it. No? Okay. But the reason to upgrade will be because it's not performing well, or are there too many good features you keep hearing now in new phones? You're like, mere paas bhi hona chahiye.
Yes, of course, I want to explore the new features, but there are things like there's lack of performance now because it's been a long
Lack of
time.
performance.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you wanted to add something? Okay.
I had a question. If you really look at the sweet spot in India, we're expecting a 15,000 phone, which is 5G, which has all the features, etc., which that segment would deserve. And that would really create a catalyst in the market to at least ramp up the numbers. Because back to what Rajiv is saying, that how is it that the numbers with the three things coming together, 5G coming, people wanting to upgrade, all these three trends, and yet we don't see that happening. So can you give a perspective, Prabhu? Is there a 15,000 price point, a 5G phone? Do you expect that entry-level feature phone with 5G really driving the market in the next 12 months? Or do you still see that not being a trend? And Nipun, you could give your perspective.
But I'd love to know, it's a great question. I'd love to know the two things he said. Sweet spot, so is it 15,000? And what does it mean by having all the features? Because that itself becomes very vague. Because there are under 15,000 rupee phones with 5G, but they're not like outright bestsellers at all. So what's the, I'd love to know from both of you, the magic phone in the sweet spot. What's yours?
So I would say it's not 15, it's slightly much more, it's around the 10 to 11K mark. You know, that's where the magic would happen. And again, if I were to say, it's not just in terms of features, but it's more about the context in which these consumers are operating, right? You have 5G coming in, you know, again, you're talking about camera, battery, all of those. But imagine that in the digitally advanced nation that we are in, they can't do without it. That's my proposition. Again, as an analyst, my role is to connect the dots. What I see is there is so much digital literacy out there. Consumers are holding on to the devices at the entry level only because they don't have access or availability or affordability, those three factors. Moment you have a 5G phone at around 10 to 11K or even below, that's when the magic will start happening. You will see much more transition happening towards the smartphone market as well. We are seeing that already in the 15 and 20K and above in the 5G space itself. We call it the value for money market. Again, consumers are buying it because there's so much of it happening around the smartphones. It's not just about performance. It's not just about 5G alone. It's 5G mixed with great camera performance, great use cases such as gaming or whatnot, all of which is enabling them to lead a much better, productive life.
Nipun, any different thought process here?
Yeah,
Because there are phones even at the 10-11 mark now for 5G, but they're not like, oh my God, it's impossible to get one. They're not being sold in the black market. So, I mean, that's where it's supposed to be like, okay, that's the phone that has completely taken off. So, what's that thing that will happen?
So, I'll cut this question into two parts. First is the role of 5G. As we are seeing the advent of this new technology, 5G, we all feel that there is huge potential in 5G. But I feel right now it will still take a little while for normal users to realize the potential of 5G. As the network is getting rolled out, and we saw this in the case of 4G also. It is not that the day 4G was launched, suddenly 4G became the number one reason why people started buying the phones. It did not happen, especially in the mass. And in now 5G also, we are seeing almost all 15K plus sold phones which are selling right now are 5G phones. But if you ask consumers what was your number one reason to purchase, it will not be 5G. It will not be 5G. So 5G relevant use cases, there is still some time for them to come. So while
will it come because of a killer 5G app or service? Because that again seems to be the one thing. I mean, yesterday I was having a panel discussion and I said that for some reason, for consumers, the only thing that 5G seems to talk about is speed for better resolution videos or music. And unfortunately, the constant thing of metaverse, which every consumer is rejecting outright, but companies seem to be really wanting to push it. So is it the wrong push that there's no killer application which needs 5G?
Yes, I think so. That 5G relevant use case, something which 4G cannot do, that has to come for me to really think, yes, I want a 5G.
Because from 3G to 4G, there are hundreds and hundreds of those. I mean, the whole digital transformation wouldn't have happened if the 4G was, you take away 4G from our life right now. There was a study that was done that if you were to switch from 4G to 3G or anything else that comes up as a network, 97% of what people do today on their smartphones would stop working as a user experience. So that's a massive drop. But 5G to 4G, it's not like that right now. But it may come. So you're saying that's important, right?
Correct. So this was the first part when I said I'll cut the question in two parts, which is the role of 5G. The second is, apart from 5G, when we talk about the sweet spot, today, I don't think that 10K to 12K is also going to be that sweet spot. I feel it is either 12K to 15K or 15K to 20K, or you can say 15K. Why? Again, we have to go back to who is going to buy this phone. These are people who are still upgrading, and these are people who 2 years, 3 years back bought a phone which was for 10K or 8K, because that was the price point at which entry-level smartphones were being sold. So now when they upgrade, they want to upgrade to a 15K around price point, especially not 10 to 12K. 12 to 15K is the minimum which we have seen. So if we really want huge adoption, it is not going to come from current smartphone users. It is going to come from the current feature phone users, which I addressed earlier as well, is not happening right now. So for sweet spot right now, I think it's around 15K. And I'll give you one example. We recently launched one phone called iQOO Z7, and it is at 18,999, and it has done the highest ever numbers for us. Why? Because again, from features point of view, as some of you were mentioning, it is not that it has absolutely perfect. You cannot have, right? but it ticks most of the boxes which any consumer today wants. Good storage, a good camera, good battery, good fast charging, good display, good processor. So then you think, yes, even if I have to compromise a little bit here or there, I'm ready to make that compromise because I'm getting a very good all-rounded phone. So I think this is what a customer wants at whatever price he's buying. It should fulfill his use case. Like the lady here mentioned, storage, performance, right? These are really very important parameters for consumers to buy today.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to do a quick fire because after that we have only about 4 or 5 minutes left for Q&A, right? I'm going to do a quick fire with the two of you. What will be the main reason that in 1 year from now we'll say the market completely turned? Will it be 5G, foldables, gaming, performance, or camera?
If foldables can come in very affordable price.
Define foldable very affordable because that's an
20K to 30K.
oxymoron right now.
20K to 30K.
28 to 30. Okay, how many here people would buy a folding phone for 30,000 rupees as their next phone? Yeah, it seems like, but that's only half the people. So somebody who didn't raise their hand, could you just stand up for a second? Anybody who you didn't raise your hand? Sharon, stand. So give him the mic. He'll of course have the world's weirdest answer, I'm sure. Okay, you won't buy a foldable phone even for 30,000?
No, too often it will break.
Okay, so he has the same one as your Didi. So, she also thinks that the smartphone will break and you also think it will just break.
No,
That's the reason.
The foldable will break.
Yeah, the foldable. So your scare is that only.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else that is just not butterfingered? Why would you not buy a foldable phone for 30,000 rupees?
The basic thing is, this is my phone. Basically, it's a foldable. I have to open it.
Just keep the mic there.
So this is my phone, foldable phone, and it's ringing. So I have to just open it, and it will take much more time. I just need the camera and the storage.
Okay, so
and
foldable according to you does not have anything in your user experience that will enhance the experience.
No.
You're happy with this?
Yes, I am
Yes,
happy.
okay, happiness out there. Okay, so foldable phone only if it's got a great price point. So then let's go 5G, gaming performance, or camera. What will be that one thing that will still lead to excitement in the market?
Performance after that.
It will still continue to be that. So,
Yes.
so camera will now start taking a little backseat.
No, I think there are different segments of users. This is what we have seen. Especially, there is a core segment of people who want the best performance. They don't want necessarily the best camera. They want a good camera, but they really want performance to stand out.
Okay.
And that is how we've also positioned iQOO. People who really want performance as the number one requirement.
So then you're saying that you're hoping that that is the reason because iQOO makes the best performing cameras, or you're saying it will be? They're two different things. Take the iQOO hat off and tell us.
Very difficult. But yes, I think it's generally performance. I'm not saying performing camera, performance in general, which is gaming, because gaming also we've seen is quite popular.
Huge uptake, unbelievable.
Yes. So, and for a good gaming experience, you need good display, good charging speed, good processor, and this all is sans camera.
Okay. So I'm going to just quickly, I have about 5-6 quick fire more questions, but if anybody has a question right now, yeah, sure. Let's just do this because last time on the panel, everybody was very disappointed. It carried on 20 minutes more and I had no time for the questions.
Sure. I'll focus on the metaverse side. Like HTC came up with the metaverse phone and it did not click. Do you have plans for launching a metaverse phone in future? Metaverse centric in place, once we have adaptation, is this on the roadmap?
A metaverse phone?
Yeah.
How is that possible is even I'm thinking. So for metaverse, you still need an accessory, something. Either you'll wear glasses or you'll wear... so the metaverse on its own will not be a phone for some time till you don't have things like, a projection screen or something like that.
I mean, in the sense of everyone thinks metaverse is VR itself.
Okay, so you're saying
let's
something
break that
VR, AR related.
So let's break that barrier in terms of not every metaverse is VR to begin with. So I'll more go in the line of gaming itself. Metaverse, I relate as gaming. I don't expect VR features in there. On the performance side of it, say if you have a decentralized app put up place, you need a lot of compute power.
Okay, let's get the answer.
Yeah, so see, some of these things have to come from the app side, right? The gaming side. What I'm very confident of is if there are games which are being developed which require that kind of computing power, then we will be able to provide that, right? So because we are majorly in the business of giving the best possible smartphone, right? The best performing smartphone. So if there are apps which require this kind of computational capability, we will have it.
Okay. Anybody else? Quick question. Anybody? Just raise your hand. We'll get the mic to you.
Rajiv, just on that, metaverse one. Any smartphone today, like even the ones which he has, those would be able to suffice for that. I know because my children, they don't live in my home. They are mostly on Roblox. They are already living in the metaverse. They meet each other on the metaverse all the time. So it's already happening. Any smartphone can do that.
Okay. I'm just going to do the rest of the quick fire then. I do have one or two hands. Maybe you can meet up with the panelists separately. Quickly now, this is just quick fire to each of you. Next year when we meet here, right, what do you think the market, Indian market will be like? Overall growth and the premiumization?
I think both overall growth as well as premiumization
will have gone up.
Sorry?
By next year this time, both will have...
Yes. I think there will be growth on both accounts. And as we discussed, as 5G also moves forward, as I see more and more young people also buying phones, I see premiumization and overall growth both should happen.
Prabhu?
So there will be growth in single digits overall level. 5G will be a big headliner next year. It will be real for sure. Premiumization will continue to happen like anything, And just to conclude on that one thought which I had, we are not a nation of value-conscious buyers anymore. We are aspirational buyers. So there is nothing wrong with it. Like you want the best in your life, you are able to have it. So you can afford it as well. So that's where the premium story is coming from.
And the last question, again, a quick fire out here. Same thing that you spoke about your children. The metaverse story. Is anything going to be happening in the next 1 year? Or is this again 3D TV for home and no consumer wants it, but every brand wants to push it?
I see a slim chance. And the reason for that is I don't see very relevant use cases for normal consumers. And because of that, I feel that it is still a technology which tech people are more enthusiastic about. But if we can translate into good use cases in the future, then there is benefit for.
There's been 7 years that no use cases come in metaverse. Yeah, sure.
If I may say, I was referring to my kids. The children in those age group of, I'm talking about 9 to 13. They are actually indulging in buying virtual goods on that platform called Roblox. Nobody knows what they are buying. They are buying cards, they are buying chocolates, which are all virtual goods as such. It's a sleeper hit story right now.
Money right now. When it starts showing up on your credit card, you may not be
that's
too
what's
thrilled
happening.
with it.
The money is real, the goods are not. So it's a dangerous problem for sure. What I mean to say is, metaverse is a sleeper hit. It's going to be there. It's already happening in our lives. We just have to be, one fine day we will awake and we will realize that it's a big thing.
Okay, how many people excited by metaverse? Even those who don't understand it? 4 people. So, Prabhu, you'll have to get your children to meet them and tell them why they spend their entire day out here. All right, so what we've got is, I think the Indian smartphone market, like I said right in the beginning, moving towards, as Prabhu said, aspirational, which is the best thing to happen, because what we don't understand is that when we are willing to spend more to get the best, then brands like iQOO will then stand up to that cause and deliver much better phones, because they're not trying to cut costs to deliver a 8,000, 9,000 rupee phone. Better innovation, better R&D, better product than ever before. So my prediction in 1 year is that both the Indian smartphone market, and especially, I don't know about the premium part, but innovative features of the kind that we are not even thinking of right now is what you're going to start seeing in the Indian smartphone market. And eventually the winner is going to be us, the consumer. On that note, let's give them a big hand to my panelists. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Nipun. Thank you very much. Wonderful as always speaking to the two of you.
Folks, did you enjoy that? Let's hear it once again for the panel. Tell them you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you on the panel. Rajiv, as always, that was fantastic. And thank you both. The gray in my beard means that I don't understand the metaverse. So I'm hoping that you guys will continue to educate us. May I request Rajiv to please hand over mementos to both our panelists. So Rajiv, to Nipun first, please. Thank you. And one more, please, Rajiv, if you could hand over a memento to Prabhu. And it's my honor once again to thank you.